Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, I like to discuss the calls for the government to cancel the usual conference season recess and prioritise dealing with the emergency that they've refused to even consider during the summer. But first, if you'd like to be notified of daily news and politics, please subscribe to the channel and click the bell notification icon. So the country is in crisis. In fact, it is subject to multiple crises. The government want to ignore some of the crises like Brexit barriers to trade and COVID. For others, they'd like to use them only for their own divide and rules purposes, such as industrial action, resulting from incomes being too low to meet the rising cost of living, for example. In fact, the only emergency that the government even seem to want to recognise is the cost of energy crisis. Yet they're doing nothing about it, not even planning. At the start of summer, the Conservatives finally made Boris Johnson walk the plank. They knew even then that autumn was going to bring with it a serious escalation in the cost of living crisis. They knew that they were facing a huge increase in energy prices, even if not quite as large as it's turned out. They knew that they were facing mounting strike action. There's not a single crisis that the media are now focused on that was not known before Tory MPs told Boris Johnson that his time was up. They also knew that if they allowed him to remain in place as a lame duck Prime Minister, that he would not lift a finger to help in any way. They knew that he didn't take emergencies particularly seriously when he was going to be Prime Minister for the foreseeable future. The first major crisis that wasn't, one that he created, that he had to deal with as Prime Minister, were floods early 2020. Where was he? On holiday. Out the country. He didn't even turn up to the emergency meetings to deal with COVID for the first couple of months. So they certainly knew that he would sulk and go on strike himself if he was being forced out. It may well be that it would have been too politically costly for them to have forced him to step down immediately when he really didn't want to, but they still allowed him to remain in place for weeks longer than necessary. They did not need 2 months to run a leadership contest. That we are in the position we are now, where the Prime Minister is saying he shouldn't do anything to address our various national emergencies just because someone will be replacing him in September, that is because Tory MPs fundamentally don't care about the country or its people. Nothing that is happening now, none of this government paralysis over summer can be said to be unexpected. All they care about is public opinion of them. So next Tuesday, after 2 months of government paralysis, as we all looked at the oncoming storm, a new Prime Minister will be appointed and they will convene a new government. This is likely to be led by Liz Truss. Nobody's given any serious hope for Rishi Sunak. So Truss will take over and the public will then look to her to offer up solutions for the immediate crisis. Truss says that she can't announce any firm plans before she becomes Prime Minister because she doesn't have the information she needs from the Treasury. This itself is a bit of a change of story because she said she absolutely had a plan. Now she's saying, no, sorry, I can't actually issue my plan because I don't have a plan because the Treasury are not giving me the information I need. Two things that occur with a statement like this. First, if she's telling the truth, well, first of all, it means she was lying before, but if she's telling the truth now, it means the government is in terminal decay and needs a proper replacement, not just musical chairs. If the Treasury are genuinely not providing crucial information to both of the two people who might lead the government response to what nobody is seriously denying is a national emergency, then it means the chain of command is well and truly busted. Second, if, as I'd say is more likely, Truss is lying and just doesn't want to announce a plan for fear that it'll upset enough Tory members to derail her at the last moment, maybe see her snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, it suggests an almighty political battle is about to blunt any serious attempts at a solution. If the plan that Truss intends to implement is so far removed from what the Tory membership want, it suggests she'll try and walk a fine line that means her response is far too weak to deal with the scale of the crisis. It also suggests that we're not going to see this solution announced until mid-September. After all, if she's claiming that she's missing vital Treasury information and won't get it until she's Prime Minister, well, she can hardly announce a plan the day after becoming Prime Minister. That'll be a bit of a quick plan there, Liz. Indeed, there's political advantage in her delaying any announcement, because the day after she becomes Prime Minister, this time, She'll be facing her first PMQs this time next week. First PMQs. The last thing she needs is Keir Starmer poking a load of holes into it weeks in advance of the implementation. Liz Truss is not going to welcome scrutiny any more than Boris Johnson did. In fact, the day I published a video earlier this week on why Truss will find it hard to deal with interviews as Prime Minister, I mean, she pulled out of one with the BBC. The reason's simple enough. Yes, to those who've seen what she's done, she'll look like a coward who doesn't want to face public scrutiny. But she is calculating that it is better to look untrustworthy to some by dodging a critical interview than looking like an idiot to everyone by doing it. She also refused to be interviewed by Andrew Neil this summer. It was the same behaviour that Boris Johnson engaged in during the general election campaign, dodging interviews that would be critical of him and had a high chance of asking follow-up questions. But anyway, I digress. The point is that after a summer of government paralysis, Liz Truss will form a government next week. But she won't announce her solution next week, as far as I could tell, or she'll look like a liar this week. So she'll wait, the following week at least. The clock is ticking. The energy prices go up at the end of this month. Whatever she announces needs scrutiny and time to implement. She may announce it the following week. It'll then get a small measure of parliamentary scrutiny, and then Parliament is on recess again. Yes, that's right. After 6 weeks of both no Parliament and no government during the looming crises, Parliament will come back for 2 weeks and then go on recess again. Why? Party conference season. But it has been argued that Parliament has had enough time off. In fact, opposition leaders wanted Parliament recalled early to deal with the crisis. Not the Tories, though. Gina Miller has argued that the conference recess should be cancelled, at the very least. This seems a no-brainer to me. It is going to reflect very badly on our politics in the face of a serious emergency for the government to have prepared nothing all summer, for a new one to finally form, then for Parliament to shut up shop a week and a half later for another few weeks. When Parliament returns, the energy prices will have already gone up. If the plan offered up by Truss is not enough, be too late to change it. Should be remembered that we have been in crisis for over 2 years now, of one form or another. During this time, we have not really cancelled a parliamentary recess. There's been a few occasions where Parliament's been recalled for like a day, but never the recess just cancelled so that proper debates could be established and action taken to deal with the emergencies with full public scrutiny. And the conference recess exists purely to allow major political parties to sort out internal matters. It could just be argued there are more important things for MPs to be doing than appealing to the party faithful. But it won't happen, will it? It would mean Truss having to face the most critical questioning. As I keep saying, she is especially bad at dealing with questions. This time next week, she'll be having to face off against Starmer. She will be likely comfortable with doing so for a couple of weeks, as long as she doesn't announce anything, because he can't land any major blows on her, because she'll have next week, only been in the job for a day. Even Truss can't completely foul things up in a single day. But what Starmer will be doing is exactly what he did with Boris Johnson during the times when the public were willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, when you couldn't land any blows. He'll just be laying traps. He'll be asking questions so that he gets her to answer ones where maybe she doesn't even sense the danger. And her responses will be quietly pocketed away to be brought back up later when they become political dynamite. And I suspect Truss will be generally aware of this. Surely at least one of her advisors will make her aware. You know, Starmer made a career out of trapping dishonest people in questions. It's his job. So, of course, Truss will want to limit his opportunities to do so. If she avoids questions from a largely compliant media, of course she's not going to subject herself to more questions from an actual criminal prosecutor more often than strictly necessary. So we should prepare ourselves that although Parliament should absolutely cancel the recess that is coming up, the government and Parliament have been absent for 6 weeks. It'll come back for like 2 more. Not even 2 full weeks, because the first day it comes back, Boris Johnson's still Prime Minister. The second day it comes back, Boris Johnson's only just quitting as Prime Minister. So it's going to bugger off again after basically a week and a half for another few weeks. But those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. I hope you found the video interesting. If you did, please click the like button. If you'd like to support the channel further, the join button for memberships. And until next time, I'll see you later.